So I'm sure everyone has heard the news, and just as it was when the Queen died, whether or not this affects your life, whether or not you like them or not, whether or not you even lived in the same area as them, someone has died, an influential figure. So regardless of whether you believe that, that you didn't like their opinions or whatever it is, now is the time to show their friends and family the same respect that you would expect someone to show you when someone you care about passes. It's not hard to be kind. It's really not. I know I go after a lot of people, but when it comes to death, I say it every single time. Just be kind. No matter what you thought about the person, no matter even if you thought they deserved to die and rot in hell, it doesn't matter. Just be kind. If you can't say anything nice to the family and friends who are grieving right now, then just keep your mouth shut. It's not that hard. But Pope Francis has died at the tender age of 88. So now they've got to go through the whole process of choosing a new pope. Um, but I remember he's been around since what, 20, was it 2013? I'm sure it'll say in here somewhere. Um, but Pope Francis, the voice for the poor who overcame fierce resistance to reshape the Catholic Church, died on Easter Monday at the age of 88. The Vatican has announced the Pope passed away this morning after the holiest of days in the Christian year, when the world's 1.4 billion Catholics celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Of course, we don't really need to read that because we know what Easter is. The Pope's death was announced with deep sorrow by Cardinal Kevin Farrell, the Vatican's Camerlengo. Camerlengo. Um, who said Francis died at 7:35 a.m. local time. Until a new pope is chosen, Farrell acts as the new head of the Vatican with immense gratitude for his example as a true disciple of the Lord Jesus. We command the soul of Pope Francis through the infinite, merciful love, the Triune God. Or I saw something move behind me. The Vatican later said on Monday that the Pope died as a resistance at his residence at Casa Santa Marta, a guest house at the Vatican where Francis has lived since his election 2013. Yeah, there you go. There you go. 2013. Francis suffered a severe health crisis earlier this year and was hospitalized for 4 weeks with double pneumonia. That fucking blows. Um, the doctor later said that the Pope was so critically ill that the staff considered stopping his treatment so he could die. I mean, and that happened a couple months ago, I think. But the Pope recovered from the worst illness and was discharged last month. And was convo- convalescing at the Vatican. The Vatican said as recently as last week that his health was improving. It just shows when you're that age and it just turns. You're going from one to another and just it's crazy. Um While he did not lead any major services during the holiday period, the Pope continued to hold engagements up to Easter Sunday, where he met briefly with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Francis gave the traditional Easter blessing from the balcony of St. Peter's, although an aide read, yeah, is he can't do it anymore. He can't do it anymore because that's sick. His voice is probably gone, and he's just Urbi et Orbi, the Urbi et Orbi, on his behalf. He also rode the Pope Mobile. I love that name, Pope Mobile. Through the crowds gathered at the square, stopping several times to bless babies handed to him. Vance said on Twitter on Monday that he was happy to have seen the Pope, though he was obviously very ill. My heart goes out to the millions of Christians all over the world who loved him. Again, I'm not religious at all, but I understand the influence that this man had on so many people's lives. Just again, it's like the Queen. You know, we live in the States. What happens over in England and all that doesn't affect us. You know, when it comes to the Queen and royalty and all that. But it doesn't take a lot to acknowledge how influential, how important these people were to so many others. Again, especially like with the Queen, who was around when we were born, when our parents were born, when our grandparents were born. Um, who's been around for so long. You know, it's not hard to just, again, be kind. Condolences pour in. Condolences and tributes start to pour in shortly after the announcement was made. The President Donald Trump posted a brief statement on his Truth Social network saying, "Rest in peace, Pope Francis. May God bless him and all who love him." Trump had a rocky relationship with Francis, whom he met at the Vatican in 2017. The Pope's tireless advocacy for migrants saw him sharply criticize Trump's immigration. Don't care. They're talking about Trump. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni called the Pope a great man and a great pastor, and said that she had the privilege of enjoying his friendship, his advice, and his teachings, which never failed, even in a moment of trial and suffering. Meloni said the Pope asked the world once again for the courage to change direction, to follow the path that does not destroy, but cultivates, repairs, and protects, adding that she will walk in this direction. Javier Milei, president of Francis's home country, Argentina, said that having been able to know him is his kindness and wisdom was a true honor for me. Milei had clashed with the Pope over the country's economic policies. On Monday, he said that their differences seemed minor today. Yeah, that's the thing. No matter what this man said that might have pissed you off or whatever, that's nothing now. You know, it's a drop in the bucket. Something you could have easily gotten over. And if this is a day where you're celebrating a man's death, clearly you aren't mature enough to let things go. You know, clearly if you're like, oh man, you can rot in hell, that means you're such a hateful person that he said something that you disagreed with and you just latched onto it. And you're so immature that you weren't able to let it go. So, Britain's King Charles says that the Pope will be remembered for his compassion, his concern for the unity of the Church, and for his tireless commitment to the common cause of all people of faith, and to those of goodwill who work in the benefit of others. Charles and Queen Camilla paid a surprise visit to Pope Francis less than 2 weeks ago, stating that during a state visit to Italy that coincided with the British royal couple's 20th wedding anniversary. Mourners began to arrive at St. Peter's Square shortly after the announcement was made, with many seen praying, some in tears, and workers began removing the remaining Easter decorations. At noon local time, the bells of the church across the Italian capital began to toll slowly to mark the pontiff's passing. Again, no matter what you think of him, clearly this affects a lot of people. And I have to keep saying this because there are so many people online, and they do it every single time. They did it when the Queen died. They do it every time an important figure dies. Every single time you have those people who just can't keep their mouths shut, who think that people care about their stupid opinion, like, oh, I never liked him. He was a piece of crap and blah, blah. Great. I'm glad you think so. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Surely it's not that hard. Surely you can act like an adult and keep your negative comments to yourself and let people grieve. It's like, I don't like Biden at all. But the day he passes, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, thank God the world lost him. No. I'm going to feel bad for his friends and family and anyone in his life who he's impacted in a positive way. Even if for us it would seen as a negative way. It's like when Biden announced that one of his dogs had died, I reached out, I'd comment on Twitter saying, hey, I may not like you, but as a person who loves animals, I understand how it feels to lose an animal, because they're not just an animal, they're family. You don't have to have mean words. And if you can't say anything nice, then just don't say anything. Um, but people can't help themselves. But the sadness extended way beyond the Vatican, with worshippers paying tribute to the Francis across the world, from St. Patrick's Cathedral in Melbourne to Notre Dame in Paris, to the Metropolitan Cathedral in Buenos Aires. Catholics gathered for services to pay tribute to their leader. The Pope's death triggered the start of a 9 days of mourning. Pope Francis' body will be placed in a coffin on Monday evening, with the burial traditionally taking place between the fourth and sixth day after death. His body could lie in state in St. Peter's. Yeah, 4 to 6, fourth and sixth day after death. How is it? How long is it before they choose a new pope? Because I know they all have to kind of like deliberate and stuff like that. Does it say? Probably. It probably does say around there. Um, Probably. But just in case, let me look it up real fast. Okay, so it's like 15 to 20 days, which is what I kind of remembered it being. I mean, this has only happened once in my lifetime, back in like what, 2012, 2013. So, but yeah, it's 15 to 20 days for them to, you where were we? Fourth and sixth day after death. His body could lie in the state in St. Peter's Basilica for people to come and pay their respects as soon as Wednesday, a Vatican spokesperson said. Death comes after a long hospital stay. Um, Pneumonia, both lungs. Medical team said his condition had stabilized, but obviously he had gotten worse, it seems. Um, After 2 weeks leaving the hospital, he delighted the faithful by making a surprise appearance in St. Peter's Square. Had made a number of appearances since then, including spending 30 minutes at a prison in Rome on Thursday and a visit to St. Peter's Basilica on Saturday evening. His death will now open debate about the future direction of the Catholic Church, with the cardinals from across the globe expected to gather in Rome and mourn the pontiff, and then elect his successor. An outside figure and the first non-European pontiff in nearly 1,300 years. 1,300 years. Francis championed the poor, migrants, and the environment, but divisions over same-sex relationships and how to tackle abuse scandals with the church persisted throughout his pontificate. I mean, he was kind of like on both sides, really. So, first Latin American, yep. Born in Buenos Aires, 1936. Um, yeah, he's. I mean, he did a lot. Again, even if it doesn't affect you personally, he he built bridges with the Muslim world while seeking to play the role of peacemaker in the face of global conflicts, particularly in Ukraine and the Middle East. His reforms saw him face resistance from conservatives inside the church, although progressive Catholics felt he should have gone further in allowing the ordination of married men as priests, shifting official teachings on homosexuality, and giving a greater space for women in ministry. Despite taking a series of tough measures, Francis also failed to quell the scandal of child stuff and other forms of abuse that have plagued the Catholic Church. A disgrace that he made his personal responsibility to end, but which continued to damage the institutional church in multiple countries throughout his papacy. But Yeah. Again, like I said, whether you liked him or you hated him, just give his family, his friends time to grieve. Seriously, not hard. Even if he wasn't important to you, he was obviously important to a lot of people around the world. And the same way you'd want respect for your loved ones when something happens, just give that same respect. You know, if you're a mature adult, surely you can keep yourself from going online and acting like a fucking asshole and saying, "Oh, I'm glad he's dead. Oh, he said something I didn't agree with once, and so now I'm glad he's dead. Oh, may he rest in piss," and blah, blah, whatever people say now. It's not hard to just be kind. It's really not. It's really not. I assure you, it's not. But anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.